Last night I brought this all-new Toyota Harrier to my uncle who owns a W205 C-Class, and when he saw this car he asked me, "Is this the new Harrier?" I answered, "Yes." "How much is it?" 250,000, I said. And I swear, his reaction went like this. "Huh? So cheap ah? 250,000? I bought my C-Class for 230. I top up a bit more, I could have gotten the Harrier." And that tells you the buyer profile of a Toyota Harrier. Ask any Harrier owner what car brand they own, their first reply will be a Harrier and not a Toyota. The Harrier has a very special spot in Toyota's model hierarchy, and buyers are convinced that the Harrier is more than enough to be compared against premium brands, sometimes even outclasses them. From the onset, the Harrier was engineered to be Toyota's best. The first and second generation Harriers were rebadged as Lexus RX to be exported to markets outside of Japan. The Harrier is a proper JDM model. When UMW Toyota offered the third generation Harrier Turbo officially in Malaysia, it flew off the shelves. Malaysian buyers didn't bat an eye at the 250,000 ringgit price tag. The fourth generation Harrier is now sleeker, more efficient and more sophisticated than ever, underpinned by the TNGA-K platform that is shared with the all-new Lexus NX. I think this is a gorgeous looking car. The slim full LED headlamps, light bar for the tail lamps, subtle chrome finishings are all in harmony. Even the 18-inch wheels look perfectly sized on the Harrier. My favorite section on the Harrier's exterior is the rear overhangs. The angle that the roofline tapers off from the C-pillar meeting the bulges on the tail lamp and bumper. Everything about the Harrier is perfection, except... You see this part right here where the front fenders meet the front doors. The front fender just overlaps and folds on top of the front doors. It creates a little bit of a disjointed look, and what's worse that when you're traveling at speeds, it creates a wind buffeting. Accessing to the boot of the Harrier, you can do a kicking motion. Power tailgate pops up. Again, like the RAV4, it's a little bit slow for my liking. And it opens up to 396 litres of boot space, but there's an extra little of cargo space down here. I think it's quite clever where you can put your shoes, your stuff, and just right underneath that you get a space saver spare wheel. If you ever need more space, you can also fold the rear seats down, and a tonneau cover to keep your belongings from prying eyes. Stepping inside the cabin of the Harrier, I would say yes, this definitely feels like a 250,000 ringgit cabin because everywhere you touch is just covered in soft touch premium materials, from the dashboard, side door cuts, center console, center armrest. They're just so soft, so luxurious. And I have to give special mentions to these seats because they just have the right contours and shape, just gives you proper support in all the right places, very comfortable for super long journeys. And this stitching, this intricate stitching just gives you the extra visual impact when you hop into the car. Features wise, the Harrier is just armed to the teeth. Every luxury feature that you can possibly imagine are equipped inside this Harrier. For example, a floating touchscreen infotainment system that supports both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, this thick bezel here is a little bit of an eyesore, but only during the day, because at night, well, it's pitch black, so you can't really see anything, you don't see the bezel, and it's just the screen being lit up, so that's fine. It's just in the morning, daylight, yeah, you can see the bezel. Those are automatic climate control, you get a wireless charging here, electronic parking brake with auto hold, quite a nice touch. Over here, once you slide open the center armrest, here you get your ventilated and heated seats control. Two features inside the Harrier which you hardly or don't even see on other premium luxury models. First up is this digital rear view mirror. So it does have auto dimming function and all of that, and you must be wondering why is there an extra latch here since you have auto dimming, right? The moment you pull it, it activates the LCD display and it projects a live feed of the rear via the camera that's mounted near the third brake light, so you have an uninterrupted, clear image of what's happening at the rear. The only other car that I remember has this feature is the Lexus LM, which is a million over ringgit MPV. Next up is the panoramic glass roof. It's the moon roof, which you can adjust the opacity via a touch of a button. So I did mention that there's one part of the interior which I don't quite fancy. or a little bit disappointed are the sound system. So in this generation of Harrier, UMW Toyota has, well, kind of pulled back a little bit on the sound system. The previous generation Harrier had a JBL sound system. This one here is just a standard 6-speaker setup. And I think that the sound quality is a little bit subpar, and it's quite disappointing because the car is just so quiet, so serene, so relaxing to drive. It's just, you want that premium audio sound system to just complete the experience. And there are a few quite clever storage tricks in the Harrier. Once you open up the center armrest, you will see these little things. You might be wondering what are these? These are actually goes right in the center cup holder, so it raises the cup holder depth. However, big bottle test, the Harrier, yeah, didn't pass. Seated into the back seats of the Harrier, I have the front seat adjusted to my usual driving position, and I'm 175 cm tall. I have about 3 and a bit tennis balls worth of knee room, headroom. Despite the panoramic glass roof, I have about 1 tennis ball's worth. Space in the footwell, aplenty though, no complaints. Amenities in here, I get 2 rear back pockets, rear air vents, 2 USB charging ports, and a center armrest with 2 cup holders. I can also recline the rear seats, and I have to mention the recline angle of these seats in the most reclined position. Yeah, it's a little bit too relaxed, and I think you will only be comfortable in here on long distance journeys where you sit back and take a nap. Yeah, the 4th generation Harrier is now powered by a 2-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder petrol engine paired to a direct shift CVT, pushing out 172 horsepower and 203 Nm of torque. It's quite a big downgrade compared to the previous generation Harrier, which had a 2-litre turbo that has 235 horsepower. It's definitely not as punchy, not as strong as the turbo unit. Above 110 km/h, car feels like it's out of breath. It's really hard to try to overtake and go. However, despite losing all that grunt and shaft, the Harrier gains a whole lot more in terms of ride comfort, ride quality, chassis balance, and handling and stability. TNGA-K platform needs no new introduction. It is just nothing but praises, because just riding on these kind of rough roads, the Harrier just soaks up all the undulations and you feel nothing. None of the undulations, none of the imperfections of the road gets transmitted into you. Nothing. It's absolutely sublime. And not only that, this new generation Harrier has the kind of poise that the previous car could never hope to get. And just exiting this roundabout, steering is just so fluid, it's so reactive. It's not the kind of sharp, darty steering as it was in the previous generation. This one, it's a lot more linear. You can give very subtle and smooth inputs. I have to say, do I miss the power? Yes. But do I think that this is a downgrade from the previous generation? Not at all. But say you're just gonna use the Harrier day-to-day basis, traveling from work to and back, not a lot of high-speed sections, not a lot of interstate travels, or even if you're gonna do a lot of interstate travels, but you have you're more light-footed. I think this Harrier's powertrain, the 2-litre naturally aspirated engine, would suit you a lot better compared to the turbo unit. It's quieter, more refined, responsive even, more responsive from the CVT, the direct shift CVT, because it has a mechanical launch gear, so yeah, throttle response is instantaneous. You don't get that kind of rubber band effect from the engine. But most importantly, it's also more efficient compared to the turbo unit. Based on a WapCar NVH test, the Harrier does about 64 decibels at 110 km/h, which is very commendable. However, there's one problem with the NVH. which is the wind buffeted noise coming from the mismatched panels on the front fender and doors. You don't hear it at low speeds, meaning below 70 kilometers per hour, but once you get up to about 80 kilometers per hour, all you hear is just that. You can say that it's being magnified because the rest of the cabin is just so quiet, so sublime. Let me just bring up the speed. 60, you don't hear much. 75, this is where you hear it. You start to hear a little bit of a buffeted effect coming from this area here at the A-pillars. To sum it up, the Harrier is a very desirable car. People want to be seen driving around in the Harrier. It has all the qualities of a premium SUV. Comfortable, refined, practical, spacious, efficient, high-tech, and being a Toyota, you know it's going to be reliable. While the internet doesn't recognize the Harrier being in the same class as a Mercedes or BMW, in the eyes of the buyers, actual people with money, views them in the same league, and that's all that matters. I would love to have one of these, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this video to your friends and family so one day I can afford a Harrier. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.